Hello, typographers. This is Rebecca, and this is your assignment to Type with Meaning Critique. I'll quickly go over the overview, and then I'll look at your submissions. So you were to investigate the multiple meanings of a chosen word, for example, the words fold, expand, cry, bent, etc. And then design and content should explore the word's various meanings, and you were to do this for 9 different words and arrange them in a 3x3 modular grid, primarily using a grayscale. Then you were going to upload your process book as a PDF slide deck. The requirements are to use a 3x3 modular grid, which I showed you a video on how to set up. Then you were to choose a topic that you really enjoy. You must have at least 4 sizes of text. Only use color appropriately, and you can use vector shapes and or imagery. To execute this, you were to lay it out on a letter-sized landscape-oriented artboard with 9 squares. And then for the required specs, the process book was to have 20 potential words, 3 thumbnail sketches for each word, so 60 thumbnails total, numbered. And then idea exploration, your grid sketches, your finalized 9-word sketches, any works cited if you used pre-made textures or illustrations, your Adobe file, and then photos of work in progress, thoughts and reflections. So the Illustrator or Photoshop file is a PDF, letter-sized, 300 ppi on 1 modular grid with 9 different words. The PDF includes the following: your intro slide that includes the assignment name, your name, class, and instructor name. The second slide includes the names of the fonts you chose to explore with examples of the typefaces. The slide that includes scans or photos of your 20 potential words and brainstorming, all perfectly white balanced, rotated and leveled and cropped with no distracting background objects. A slide that includes scans or photos of your 60 thumbnail sketches. A slide that includes your idea exploration, like a mood board, with at least 10 inspirational photos. A slide that includes your 9 final sketches. A slide that includes 9 sketches in a 3x3 grid. Photo scans and screenshots of the process, your evolution of creating your words. Written and typed reflections on parts of the letters that you like, where you ran into difficulties, how you overcame any challenges, and why you chose each of the final 9 words and the final 9 fonts. The 9 digital comps on individual slides with no slide template elements, just a clean white background with a centered image as large as possible, and 1 slide with all 9 words in the 3x3 grid together, and then your final slide with works cited. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. First up is Caden. Good looking first slide. There we go. The fonts that you chose to explore are futuristic fonts, one called futuristic, Zephany, and the abstract alphabet. In the beginning, you wanted to experiment with fonts that you've not worked with, so you chose some really fun fonts here. These are great. Zephany is really beautiful. I like the negative space there. It's gorgeous. Same with futuristic. They're all great. Excellent. So here's the 20 words that you were playing with. And here are your 60 sketches. Really good. And then these are your different visuals for each of the words. Good. And, you could have had even more on your mood board just so you know for the future. But this is really fun. These are great. You have some things with scale. You got some motion and movement in these, some like patterns and a lot of negative space. Really cool. Nice. So you begin your test run with different personifications of each word, and some working better than others. Great. Okay. So this is the final 9 word sketches. So you chose to draw these out instead of build them in Illustrator or Photoshop. And I really wanted you to use those programs, but I am okay with these being hand-drawn. I just don't think it's going to be something that you can use in your portfolio for trying out for the major. So if you do want to use it in your major, in your portfolio for the major, then I would recommend making them digital, like building them in Photoshop or Illustrator. Okay, but they look pretty cool. They're all great. There's a lot of movement as well, and yeah, I think they turned out really nice. Let's look at them individually. This is your evolution of the drafts. Cool. So I can see that you're giving a little more weight to some of the words and just doing some problem solving, making dark bigger, breaking it apart looks better. Yeah, looks good. Good. So here you mentioned how this assignment reminds you of working with negative space, like in the first assignment. And you got to play with markers, which is great. Excellent. So here's fall, and I think that works well. It does look like it's falling. A good idea to rotate the letters. That really helps with adding the movement there and shrinking these guys down. So if you do recreate this in Illustrator or Photoshop, just pay attention to your kerning here between the letters. Okay, so your space between the S and the H is similar to the space between the N and the K, but then we get real skinny here between the H and the R. The R and the I are pretty much touching as well as the I and the N. So just that's very important to look at. Also, this space between the S and the border, as well as the K in the border, the K is closer to the border, as you can see, and that decision needs to be completely obviously intentional to the viewer. So, I just, it doesn't seem like it's intentional right now. The other thing you could do is you could really use this whole frame. So you can make your S way taller and make the K super tiny to really emphasize that shrinking. Okay, this is nice. I think that same with this one. I think giving the letters space in between, and also it's sort of like you get a feeling of no gravity, that the A is like floating up and the P and the C are floating up. But I think that you could have even more space between the S and the E and the borders to just give it even more of that feeling. All right, really nice. Also, pay attention to the scale of your letters. So notice how tall the S is versus the A and the C. I think they should all kind of be the same, or they should get, sorry, intentionally way smaller, like the A is floating backwards, kind of receding into space. Rise is really nice. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, looks good. I don't really have any corrections or changes there. This is really lovely. It's also my favorite, I think. I really like how you broke up the space with the black, kind of acting as water, and then the things floating on the surface but starting to make their way down. So I do recommend, I love what you did with the S here with the negative, or change, inverting the color. So you should also do that with the N, I think, and like any part of the I that's going down or any part of the K. I think that really helps. This is awesome. So once again, if you were to do this digitally, just pay attention to your spacing, like your padding between the words and the border. And if it's not centered, then making sure that it's very intentional as to why. And just pay attention to that kerning between the letters. So your R and K are a bit closer together than the other two. Okay, great. Drift, I'm not quite getting drift from this. I mean, I guess I am. I think this large I is confusing me a bit. So maybe if you were to, I was going to say, put the letters a little more in order and just have the T really drifting away, from the others. The others, partially drifting, but the T like really making its way out. I guess that's what you're kind of doing with the D, huh? Okay. I just think the I should probably be the same scale as the others. Great. Shine. So with this marker, I'm not quite getting a shine effect. I think that you had in your images, you had like a starburst kind of shine. So I think like adding shininess to some of the corners of the letters, not all of them, but and like a highlight in the letter would make it appear more shiny. This the way it's drawn, it sort of looks like it's on like torn paper or like kind of ragged material. So it's not quite shining up the way that I think you wanted to have it be really glowing, and that's I'm not getting that from this. Okay. The other thing too is the strokes within the letters are a bit odd. That might be how the font is, and if that's the case, then I think your font had a few different colors in it, and that makes sense. But when it's black and white like this, the stroke inside doesn't quite make sense. So I think instead it would be better to, apply, like do this in Photoshop and apply a real shiny, like effect to it and add a few little highlights and starbursts. And then break is great. I love it. I love how it's breaking apart. I really get that. So the other thing too is check out your borders here. They're like really rough and jagged. Um, and then we got like an eraser in Photoshop there, but then there's all these other marks everywhere. So it's just not super clean, like a final submission should be. All right. But overall, a lot of imagination, a lot of creativity, a lot of experimentation, and I'm happy with it. Next up is Kayla. All right. And here's your fonts that you played with: Simply Thick, Wonky Font, and Linear Font. So Simply Thick is a big, a bubbly font. That's really cute. I love this R, like how it gets real skinny at the top of the leg there. Really cute. The Wonky font is a big, bold, kind of impact, but more fun font with a super wide W. Look at that. Good, good. And then linear font is like a handwritten, condensed font. Great. Okay. And then here are your words, your 20 words. Here's your thumbnail sketches. So I didn't get a chance to see these. You didn't submit them for the feedback discussion. So this is my first time seeing them. They look pretty good. Great. Here's your mood board. So for your mood board, you chose to use all of these words instead of any photos or illustrations or images. Okay, all right. So we have sliced on there already cut. What else? I'm just looking back and forth here. You already have falling on here. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Okay, so then here are your finals. So, I mean, if you saw one that was falling and that was already sliced, I wouldn't use those again. Like the falling is almost identical to the one on your mood board, just not all caps. Um, and it's also, the one on the mood board has the letters like rotating, which really gives it the feeling of falling. Okay, so with expand, I would actually expand the letters themselves, not the space between the span. I'm sorry, not the space between the letters. Fold is good. I think that works. Tension is good. I feel tension there. I'm not really feeling anything about open. I mean, there's like a little notch in the letters, but it's not, it looks more like an open neon sign than it looks like it's, really illustrating the word open, if that makes sense, like the definition of being open. So slice isn't much different than the original as well. I mean, there's a slice taken out of it, but this one makes even more sense because it's almost like a pizza slice, than just like an erase through it, and a little bit of separation. So compress, that works. I think that's all right. It could be a little more squished, but it's pretty darn squished, so I'm okay with it. And then fade works as well. Yeah, good. Okay. Climb is okay. Yeah, that's good too. Okay, great. And then I don't see the slides of the individual words on each slide. Okay, all right, thank you. Next up is Olivia. Here are the words that she selected, her final 9 words, and then the fonts that she selected. And we've got Airco Standard, Maku, which is like a handwriting font, Apple symbols. Okay, and then Akaya, Televigala, Kifa, and Tiro Telugu. Telugu. Sorry about my pronunciation if it's just horrendous right now. Luminari and Shavika. All right, lots of good fonts there. And here's your sketches. These were really great. I was really excited about these sketches. There was so much to work with here. You had a lot of really great ideas. Here's some idea exploration. So I just saw this on Kayla's as well. I really think that when you're doing projects like this, looking at other examples that people did is really going to, um, it's really going to affect what you make and not necessarily in the best way. I think that it sort of kind of narrows down your ideas to the point where you feel like you need to work within these parameters. And I think that looking at images instead of the words, like not like this, but like of looking at an actual volcano or looking at something that's actually stretching and then figuring out on your own how to make the word do those things is better for your process, your creative process. It's not where you're totally influenced by people who have already done this exact thing. I hope that makes sense. All right, so but these I have a lot of ideas and pretty cute ones. Hyde is really cute, isn't it? Great. I think cramped is also great. Yeah. All right. So here are your final sketches. Great. And then you are working both in Illustrator and in Photoshop, which is great because there's some things that you can only do in one, you can't really do as well in the other, so that works out nicely. Really good. Okay. And then you said you had 2 different versions of the word spread. Yeah, they look pretty different, don't they? The Photoshop one is better for sure. So speed is nice. I like that you have it leaning forward and um, it does show some nice motion. Stack, you said that you were inspired by like children's blocks. I'm not quite sure why the text is distorted, like stretched or skewed a bit. And I think that they should be touching each other. So that's my critique for stack. Like you got to get a strong base. So the K wouldn't be crooked. It would be like touching the baseline, holding up the other letters, and they would be touching each other, like stacked on top of each other. There wouldn't be negative space between them. The jumbled is very good, really fun font there. Slide is really cute. It turned out nice. Tower, we do get the feeling that the T is bigger and towering over the other letters. Shrink is working out. Um, so shrink does look a little like it's skewed. It looks like it's being pulled backwards instead of shrinking down like sideways, if that makes sense. Spread is great, avoid is great, and unclear is great. So those turned out really nice and very appropriate and totally, explains the words. So good work there. And then here's your individuals, really nice. Sorry, I just noticed this with the E. I would nudge the E up so it's sitting on top of the line as much as possible instead of below the line. See how all these are sitting on top of it? So I wouldn't have any overlap there for your final submission. All right, great work. Thanks, Olivia. Next up is Delvon. All right, so here's your chosen typefaces. Cooper Black, Times New Roman, Broadway, Myriad Pro, Engravers, Abrima, and Heighton Schweiler. Okay, great. So here's your brainstorms. Really nice. Great. I don't think I got a chance to see these. I don't remember commenting on these, but there's a lot of good ones there. Good. I'm glad you chose some of the ones that I just saw that I liked, that stood out to me. So here's your work in progress, sorry, just doing a bunch of sketches and then laying it out on the computer. And so here you're just explaining that you chose a lot of verbs, like action words, which is really a great idea. And then you got to learn a little bit more about Illustrator while you were doing this process. So that's fantastic. I love hearing that. So you've got scatter here. That's pretty good. I think the bottom line of scatter is still a bit too neat. So I would kind of try to randomize that bottom line a bit more. It does get hard to read though. I understand, but I think that people will figure it out. Inflate is wonderful. Um, if you could, I mean, I would like make it really big. It doesn't have to be only that height there. So if you have this whole window to work with, and if you were to make it huge, then it would really feel like it's getting bigger. You know what I mean? Smile is great. I love it. Close is good. Yeah, that works for me. Sliced is good. I don't think you need um, that line there. I think it'd be okay without it. Bent works. Space works. Reflection is great. And perspective is great. So my only things is like they're all kind of let me see. I think reflection works where it is within the frame. These are supposed to be well, I guess I didn't specify what size each square has to be, so never mind. So I think reflection is placed well. It's like in the top third line if you were to break this up into three sections. So that's nice composition. Perspective looks pretty centered um, horizontally, but vertically it could drop down a little bit. Bent is also a little high, but I'm okay with that. Smile is fine where it is. Scatter makes sense to be all over the place. Close looks like it might not be centered, but like I feel like it's a little closer to the left, but I'm not sure. It could just be like an optical illusion. But it is a little high, like center it up both vertically and horizontally. Same with sliced and space is okay. Yeah. All right, cool. And then do you have your individual slides? I don't see the individual slides of each word in this slide deck. Okay, thank you. Next up is Junyak. So I don't see a full slide presentation. You just turned in your final 9 grid, and it doesn't look like you laid it out the way I recommended laying it out as far as we don't need a stroke between these, that we would just have a stroke around each frame. Um, and then I don't really, okay, so I'm not seeing a door here. I'm not seeing how door is really showing the definition of a door. I guess maybe there's an opening here. I'm not sure. And I would recommend using all caps because of if you wanted this to be a very symmetrical layout, the R, it just isn't having as much weight as the capital D, but if it was a capital R, then it would extend down more. So turn makes sense. I just don't know why it's on this really dark gray background. We really start to lose some contrast there. So, and then I also don't know why the letters are changing colors. Maybe they're more like a leaf turning in like the seasons turning. I'm not sure. I'm trying to understand there. Reversal. I'm thinking this is more of like an invert than a reverse. So, like when you change the colors of the letters, we would call that inverting it. Okay, submerged is okay. I don't know why the word is broken up like this, so I would definitely just keep it as its own one word, a full word, or you can have a hyphen after sub and have merged be on the next line. So when we break up a word, it needs to be hyphenated at the syllable. And it also, the line spacing is a bit too much there. Okay. Um, so a reflex is not the same as reflect. It's two different words there. So a reflex is like a reaction to something. And this looks more like it's meant to be reflect. So that one you can just change by changing the X to a CT, recentering it, and then changing the CT reflection. I don't know what, oh, this is pile. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like pile. That works out really nicely. Make is pretty cool too. I like the gears in there. I think that's nice. I do recommend just making the AKE the same way as you made the M. They don't need to change color because I'm not quite seeing why they would need to change color there. Okay. Chase, no, chaos. Oh, that's great. I like that one a lot. And then mountain, 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 mountain. Yeah, that works. I'm down with that. Great. So we have some that really hit the mark, like these last four here. And submerged is definitely on its way. Like I love the water droplets. I get the idea that it's below the water. It just needs to either not be broken up or it needs to be broken up with a hyphen after sub. And the line spacing can be tighter to make sure that the two lines visibly make one word. And then turn also, just get rid of that dark background and change the end might need to change colors to be a little darker once you get rid of that dark background. But I think you should maybe consider changing this word from reversal to invert, and then reflex should be reflect. And then I'm just not getting door from that. So, there's a few things you could do. You can make the the eye of the one of the O's or the eye of the D a little door. Just put a little doorknob on there, and then it's good to go. So just consider how you can improve the definition of door there. All right, thank you. Next up is Deanna. So Deanna chose a bunch of really fun fonts to explore here. We've got Not Calcin, Bug, Quiche, Sans, Light, Trim, Schlop, Poison, uh, Monta. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I think these are the words are the examples of the fonts. So yeah, Montecantini, Vintage Deco, Westac, Mochoi Pop, Mason Sands, Pragmata Pro, Fractor, Ella Brutalist, Pop Rum Cute, Zubilo, and Council. Great, these are awesome. Really fun. Oh, some of the fonts disappeared. Okay, that's cool. No problem. All right, so these are the final fonts that you chose. Great. And words, these are your sketches. Good, good. And I did see these and gave you feedback. They were really fun, really creative. Yeah, really good stuff. Great. All right, so here you're just mentioning that you had some issues with a couple of the words that had a drop shadow. You enjoyed messing with the Schlop font and trying to make a skull look for the word. And then one of your fonts was Japanese, and so that was hard to work with a bit. Um, and then you just mentioned some of the hardships you encountered using your iPad and translating it over to your laptop and that you finally figured out if you just shut down the program on the iPad, it works a lot better for you. So here is you working with the pencil, the word pencil. Really fun. Great. I like that. That's great. Okay. So you had some words from video games, books, and art supplies. That's okay. All right. So shadow. Okay. Yeah, that works. So I am seeing the shadow on the outside of the frame there. So if you made this in Photoshop, just go in with your eraser tool and erase the edges there. You might want to create a selection first that's like this, and then use your eraser. Then it won't erase your line by chance, you know. And same with over here. I would make one that's like right along the edge, and then erase within that selection. That'll just control the selection. Okay, but that worked out nice. I think it totally works. It's fine. So poison is great. I love the O in there. This was really cute, like awesome. You don't need the stroke, but then how would you get the eyes, right? I think what you could do is you can eliminate the black stroke and then just make the eyes with more green, and you'd still get the skull, but totally up to you. Float is cute, perfect, love it. Horror looks good. That font's really nice and grungy and scary. I don't quite get why it's climbing up now that I see it, but it's not bad. It doesn't need to change. So here's the pencil. You gave it a gray stroke. I think that's fine. I saw your reasoning as to why. You got a little extra H down here for some reason. Not sure why that guy came in there. This is cute. That works out. I like that. So here's your bug. I'm going to come back to this one and this one. Okay, I get it. All right. Okay, so same with this murder one. I'm seeing some pink haze on the edge there. So you just go into Photoshop with your selection tool, draw a selection marquee like that, just click and drag to make a rectangle, and then erase within those rectangles. Yeah, make it right up, butt it up right against the border there. So I don't know why this is like a light pink either. This could be nice and dark red, you know? Just go for it. Just get bloody. Don't be scared. Okay, so let's look at so reflect. I think that's okay. I think maybe adding a line. I think that's how you had it originally, and I told you you didn't need it. So maybe make the T's touch each other. It's them being far away is just, I don't know, it's not working that great. So make the T's touch each other so it's like a real reflection. Bug, I think that's fine. I don't really understand why the B is reversed. I think that's the part that maybe because you want this to look like wings. All right, that's cool. That's fine. And then murder, if you go back in it and rework it, I don't like how close these are to the edge of the frame. That's the only thing. So maybe shrink that font down a bit and then just make that totally red blood blah. All right. All right, great work. Thank you. Nice and colorful, and you used color where it was appropriate. So I think that worked out nicely. Thank you. So next up is Maria. And I got back to your first slide there. And then here's all the fonts you chose to explore. These are so fun. Silicone, Urban, Ad Script, Input Mono, The Seasons, New Kansas, Scarlet Script, Edu, NSW, Act Foundation, Nave, Coniferous, PF Marley Display, Book-Eyed, Turfins, Serenia, New Order, Balu Bay 2, Router, Buffalino, Gombado, PF Scandal, and Chaloops. I guess I didn't have to read all those so that you didn't have to hear my terrible pronunciation, but you know, that's fun. Next up are your 20 potential words. And here are your great sketches. I love how organized your sketches are, by the way. They're very nice and easy for me to look at, and I appreciate that. And I remember seeing these and giving you some feedback in the discussion. Here's your really fun ideas, and I'm so happy to see these because you used the most color out of everyone, and the assignment did say like primarily grayscale, but I was encouraging people to use color in my feedback. And what I'm happy to see here in your ideas is that it's not examples of work that are similar to the assignment. It's actually, illustrations and um, not photos, but oh yeah, I guess there's a donut photo and designs. This is a photo as well. So this is so cute. I love this one right here. So that I think that really helps you to open your mind and be more unique with your words that you created. Here's your final sketches. Great. And I can see that you really took my advice and I love it. Thank you. And here's your process evolution. Really fun. So here you're just talking about how this was an incredibly challenging assignment for you, and I'm glad to hear that. I know that that might be like devious of me, but you really just went so crazy on this assignment, like in a great way. It's so creative, the result, and I really do think that you thought outside of the box, and I'm happy that you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone. And it looks like you learned a lot about um, Illustrator or Photoshop. So I'm glad like that. I think this is going to leave a big impact on your future conceptualizing as well as your skills in the software. So that's really fun. And then you're talking about how your concept behind diminutive, and I love it. I love that you put it on the ground or on the floor, as well as the sprinkles, and your pie is really fun. So these are, I'm sorry, the bakery one. So it really did pay off, and this is so wonderful. It looks really good. I love the 3D. I love the drop shadow. We get a lot of weight here, and it does look small. This is so cute. I love the use of your brown stroke is beautiful because then it's like a crust or it's like the donut underneath, and the bite taken out of it is very cute. It's a nice bubbly font. The sprinkles are super cute. The color palette is perfect. You got this really wonderful contrast between the tan of the crust or donut versus the pink of the icing versus the blue and white in the sprinkles is just awesome color combinations. Really good work there. This is really cute. I love this that it's like tears or rain or like things that we might associate with blueness, just blue water. It has so many different ways that we could look, read into it, and that it has a random pattern, and it's just awesome. And it really does look like a teardrop. So instead of the words being rain, water, or tear, you chose blue and then used a form of water that we would recognize, which I think is fantastic. This turned out great too. This texture is really fun. Um, yeah, I think that's lovely. This works out nicely. It's, in because you chose this sphere, we get like an earth feeling. I think your gradient could, instead of being blue and white, your gradient could have been blue to green, and then that would give it even more of an environment feel. But it was a great font to choose and a really fun effect, really nice. I guess this is more like the sky, right? I guess, or clouds, or like the ozone layer. So that could work for sure as well. Here's your cat one. I think it turned out great. And it's funny because that font, the Cooper's Black, it reminds, whenever I see that, I just think Garfield because that's the font that the Garfield logo is in. And so that's the perfect font for cat. um, and yeah, really cute. I like the silhouette of the cat, looks good. So here's your pie, and that's very cute as well. I love how it's like baked in there. I'm wondering if you tried a different color besides black for the word pie. And I'm also I'm always trying to steer people away from using black strokes. It works for this, it works right now. Just in the future, just know that you don't need a stroke. And notice that your stroke is a little messy here. It like overlaps. So just, yeah, watch that on future stuff. This works nicely. I don't know if you need this really heavy drop shadow. It looks pretty though. It really adds to the three-dimensionality of the gold letters. Um, it just becomes so heavy, and I don't know if you need it. Yeah, I mean it's fine with it. Like, yeah, okay. And then I'm also getting thrown off by like the shadow getting cut off by the trim. So I would recommend, stroking the borders of each of these. This works. That works nice. So this is kind of what I was saying about the environment one. You know, going from one color to another color in the gradients, and that works out well. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, this looks better here, but you're still getting some cutoff. So I would just have those shadows, go all the way to the edge of each of those frames there. All right, nice work. This is definitely the most colorful one for sure, and really super fun. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you so much, everybody. I can't wait to see what you do for assignment 3.